The story begins when vampires and werewolves had been at war for 2 decades. Viktor, one of the vampire leaders, eventually created a legion to protect his people from the first generation of werewolves, as they were extremely vicious, infectious, and unable to revert to human form. However, the story takes a turn when a female werewolf gives birth to a baby boy in human form, a phenomenon that had never occurred before. Viktor allowed him to live. As time passed, the child grew into a slave and was named Lucian. However, with strength and focus his predecessors lacked, Lucian became a formidable fighter. Viktor, seeing this, told his daughter Sonja that Lucian was different from werewolves because he could transform into a human, and Viktor wanted to create more creatures like Len. Eventually, Viktor exploited Lucian's blood by stirring his hunger so that the human slaves attacked by Lucian would transform into Len, and the vampires could then use them as a slave army as well as guards during the day. Several years had passed. Viktor was holding a meeting with human officials to discuss the fact that the human slaves had been attacked by werewolves, causing the payments to the vampire clan to decline. However, Viktor insisted that the payments must be made tenfold as per the agreement, and that he would deal with the werewolves as usual. Not far from where Viktor was in the forest, a soldier could be seen hurrying home because he was being chased by werewolves. Hearing the howls of the werewolves, Viktor and his troops panicked and immediately fired their arrows to save the soldier who was being chased. Lucian didn't just stand there, he immediately grabbed his bow and yes, the soldier managed to survive, and when he took off his helmet, it turned out to be Sonja, who showed no respect by throwing her sword at Lucian. This prompted Viktor to scold her, telling her to at least show some gratitude to the person who had saved her life. Viktor also made sure Lucian wouldn't regret killing the werewolves because he was different and had to remain aware of his position here. Then Sonja was scolded by her father for frequently patrolling on full moon nights, which was tantamount to risking her life. Sonja was asked to understand that, as Viktor's daughter, she would one day become the leader of the vampires, and she was told to focus on learning the ways of politics so she could become a ruthless and cunning ruler who remained loyal to her family. The Lycan who worked as their slaves were treated very unfairly, even the slightest mistake would result in immediate punishment.
Enough.
Then Viktor resumed the meeting, and he received a suggestion from the human officials that the Lycans here be allowed to patrol during the day, since the vampires could only protect them at night. Upon hearing this, Viktor immediately objected, believing that creatures like them would be extremely dangerous. However, the human officials suggested that Lucian share his opinion, since he had already done something far different from their expectations, namely, saving Sonja.
I will take your suggestion.
Meanwhile, outside, just as the slaves were about to return to their quarters, Lucian slipped away quietly to someplace else. Then, in Sonja's room, a guard couldn't find her either, and it turned out that Lucian and Sonja had met somewhere. In fact, they had been in a relationship for a very long time, and a heated argument ensued. After that, Lucian urged Sonja to leave, and he also showed her that he had obtained the key to unlock the necklace that had been preventing him from transforming all this time. Lucian was utterly fed up with being treated like an animal all his life, especially since vampires and werewolves are descendants of Cornvinus, meaning they should be siblings, not living like this. Tanis, who already knew that something was wrong with his daughter and Lucian, didn't tell Viktor but only told him to get ready because the human slaves would soon arrive here. As Tanis prepares to escort the human slaves, Sonja suddenly arrives and forces him to do it himself. Then Tanis warned Lucian to keep his eyes on Sonja or his secret would be revealed. But from a distance, Lucian felt that there were a lot of wolves out there and that Sonja and her troops could be slaughtered. Finally, he took a horse and went after them.
Stop him!
Yes, Sonja was also ambushed by the werewolves. Then Lucy arrived there and immediately helped Sonja and his troops. However, because there were too many, Lucian was forced to open her necklace and... Lucian was also paralyzed by Viktor's troops and Lucian will be punished because he as a slave has violated Viktor's responsibility, namely removing the necklace and changing it will. After returning, Lucian was finally punished with 30 lashes and had his necklace removed, witnessed by everyone there so that Viktor could set an example to the human leaders that Lycan was still a wild animal.
Stay away from him, they'll punish you too.
Then Viktor was surprised by Sonja's attention to Lucian, but Sonja only followed her father's teachings that she should be grateful to the person who saved her life, and Viktor told Sonja to get ready to attend the council meeting.
It's the breadth of my magnanimity. Were it any other circumstance.
Meanwhile, in the cage, the man who gave the water was named Race and Lucian reassured him that he didn't need to be afraid of him because Lucian was very different compared to the werewolves in the forest who had no reason, but they were both confused as to why the werewolves obeyed Lucian.
Yes, they did.
Not long after that, Sonja visited Lucian in the cage secretly and she told Sonja that she had to go, but because now all the guards would be watching Lucian closely, Lucian finally told Sonja that Tanny seemed to be able to help them because she knew about their relationship but didn't tell Viktor. Seeing that the payment was only half the amount, Viktor confronted the man, but he explained that all his employees had been attacked and turned into werewolves. He was also angry, why should the villagers pay him if Viktor's entire army couldn't protect them? Viktor, now furious, finally.
If devil better, the devil you know. Would anyone else like to be heard?
Meanwhile, Lucian, who was fed up with his friends fighting over food, began to deliver a rousing speech to the slaves, Would they continue to remain silent and be treated like animals, or would they choose to live as Lycan?
We can choose to be more than this, or we can be Lycans!
Back to the top, Viktor asked Sonja for help in appointing another Lycan, because Lucian was going to be eliminated the next day. Sonja was shocked by this announcement, but since she couldn't defy her father, she eventually gave him the name of a Lycan to be appointed. Without wasting any time, Sonja went straight to Tanis and asked why she hadn't told her father about her relationship with Lucian and what she really wanted.
He isn't well known for his gratitude.
And Tanis replied that he wanted a seat on the board, where Sonja would give him her seat, but in return he would have to help her.
2 minutes. Any longer is...
They were given only 2 minutes, and Sonja immediately told him that Lucian would be executed the next day and that he had to leave as soon as the sun rose. If he succeeded, Sonja would follow him in 3 days. Tanis also gave the key as a parting gift.
Consider it a parting.
Shortly after that, Race and the other slaves were forced to be turned into Lycans, and after they were returned, Lucian told Race that he would be used as a guardian for the vampires, but that wouldn't happen if Race was willing to go with him. After that, even the laziest guard came to the pen, but when he realized Lucian wasn't there, suddenly... Lucian immediately released all the Lycan slaves and led them toward the exit. However, someone accidentally kicked a bucket, causing it to fall over. Lucian also promised to return to save them all, but Viktor's men immediately reported to him that Lucian had escaped. Because of that incident, Viktor became suspicious of Tanis and asked why the lock had opened, but the clever Tanis deflected the question. Eventually, he took Viktor to the storage room to show him that the key Viktor had given him was still intact.
Anyone who fights with me, you have a choice. You can run and hide.
Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Lucian asked Race to wait for him there for 2 days because he had some business to attend to. As night fell, Lucian entered a cave and found himself in the lair of the first generation of werewolves. Meanwhile, Viktor, the vampire, who was still curious about what had happened, finally went to see Sonja and began chatting with her about Lucian. However, since the most effective way was to see through her memories by drinking her blood, then... Viktor was very disappointed, too, and he locked Sonja in her room. Back in the forest, Lucian finally returned safely, but he still felt uneasy because Sonja hadn't shown up yet. Suddenly, a woman on horseback approached him and told Lucian that Viktor had found out about his relationship with Sonja, which meant Sonja would be executed. Then, when Viktor met with the council and heard that Lucian's forces had already raided 2 villages, he reassured them all that Lucian would return here because he had what Lucian wanted.
Something he wants.
When he saw that Sonja was no longer there, he finally told Viktor that his daughter had run away. Since there was no other way, they were finally forced to face the vampire army head-on and
How dare you raise your hand to me?
I do.
Viktor was cornered, and Sonja told him she was pregnant with his grandchild. Instead of being happy, Viktor was terrified because the baby Sonja was carrying was a hybrid of a vampire and a werewolf, which meant it was a monster.
This is over. I could have given Lucian to the count.
The two of them were eventually arrested and brought before the council to stand trial. However, because Viktor was so terrified of the mixed blood Sonja carried, he actually agreed that she should be put to death.
Viktor! No! No! No!
Goodbye, my love.
When night fell, Viktor came to retrieve his son's necklace, but as the full moon rose, Lucian transformed and took the necklace. Viktor and his troops, who witnessed this, immediately got ready. As soon as Race arrived, he immediately helped Lucian, and he was ordered to release the slaves at once.
Follow me. You want the revenge?
Lucian, seeing that Viktor had appeared on the battlefield, filled with a deep-seated hatred, immediately approached him, but Viktor, seeing this and terrified, tried to flee. In the end, victory went to the Lycan and the werewolves, but Lucian told his troops that this was only the beginning. While far away, it turned out that Viktor was still alive, and that was the end of the story.